Mayor Tory, members of the Executive Committee, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. It's an honor to speak with you. And I'm reminded of an American friend of mine who was visiting, and he said, you know, it's too expensive for me to go to Toronto. I said, why is that? He said, well, it takes me 5 minutes to leave an elevator. Everybody's so darn polite. And I'm here to talk about international branding and earned media. And that story from my friend I thought was very interesting. Because the simple fact of the matter is, and this is somewhat of a blatant truism. Good to see you, Gary. If you don't define your brand, someone else will. If you don't say who you are, somebody else will tell you. Or they may just ignore you, Mr. Mayor. When I met Marco Rubio during my work with the Canadian Snowbird Association, he came up to me because he knew we were from Toronto, and he shocked me. I couldn't believe what he said. First thing Marco Rubio came up to me to say, never known me from anything, he goes, Andrew, how are you? How's Rob Ford doing? And afterwards, subsequent to Rob's passing, he asked me, are you sorry that Rob passed away? How's Toronto handling that? When Jimmy Kimmel asked you, Mr. Mayor, to be on his program, he did so because of the branding of Rob Ford, something for which Rob Ford himself would be so disappointed that which was most salacious about his history would become such a dominant Toronto brand. And to be reductionist, I will say the greatest branding export we've had has been that story. And that's not what anybody wants. And it's fine for The Economist, and I read The Economist every week, or for the Financial Times, or any of the other international journals, to sing Toronto's praises in a sort of a coolly abstract way. Or as Peter Ustinov, the great raconteur, once said, Toronto is is New York run by the Swiss. You remember that statement. But it reminds me again of that elevator ride where we're not getting off, no one knows how to stand forward. Expo 2025 is an opportunity for us to have a global spotlight. And if you're not supporting Expo, what are you doing for your international brand? How else are you going to do it? Because I will talk about the raw media numbers in just a minute, because that's about all I have.
No, it is just about, in fact, it's not even that, so we'll give you 35 seconds to wind up, and then maybe
200 million in earned media, TV alone. With the new media that's evolved, we have between $200 and $500 million in earned media. That's how much media you get if you were paying for it. That's how much media you will earn. We don't have a brand in this city. We need a brand. And Expo 67 was the coming out party for Canada. Expo 2025 needs to be the coming out party for Toronto. When George Clooney comes here for TIFF, we're interested in George Clooney. Toronto needs to be the story, not the Rob Ford story, and not George Clooney. Expo is an opportunity for Toronto to take the stage. And with all of that money for tourism, as we talked about, we heard that enumerated, we need this. We need some branding. We need initiatives. Lastly, I will conclude by saying the people of middle age now lived under that dour Scottish Presbyterian overlay of no Sunday shopping, of Toronto the Good. Remember that? We have a different society now. The tallest buildings have been built within the last 15 years. We are a proud city, and the young people know this better than the decision makers of today, and I'm in that age group.
Okay.
But we need to get going with our brand, and if not Expo, what?
Thank you.
I hope you support it.
Krystal.
God bless you. Thank you.
Stay there just in case there's a question. Councillor Wong Kam.
I'm a little nervous to ask the question, but I'm going to try it anyways. So with respect to you stating that we don't have a brand, I think there might be some people that would take offense to that statement. Toronto's a great city. We are a livable city.
Well, let me qualify that. I'm being reductionist. When I say Toronto doesn't have a brand, the brand is the association you make with the product or service. When you think of New York, you don't think of 9/11. You don't think of the darkest days when you're there. You think of what New York is. When you think of San Francisco, you close your eyes and you see the Golden Gate Bridge. Yes, Toronto is the CN Tower. But other than TIFF, you know, the Argonauts and the Leafs are not going to promote this city. We need to be in the conversation. We need to steer that international conversation, and Expo is an opportunity to do that. If you're not doing Expo, what are you doing to promote yourself internationally? And the fallback position, our reset position, is not to get out of the elevator first.
With respect to your comment about earned media, a World Expo has a lot of countries coming to Toronto. There has to be a site, so it's the site of the host city. Those nations will be bringing their press corps. They will be talking about what they're seeing and what they're reporting back to their nations that they're coming from. What's that worth?
The average population of a country is 34 million. So if you're looking at 1% of that aggregate population going to Expo, you're looking at massive numbers. The average cost of a 30-second spot on CNN is $5,000. The average cost of a spot on the Super Bowl is $5 million. You're looking just with those news stories alone, and remember, news stories on average are 2 minutes. The second news story on City was 3 minutes and 1 second last night on the Spadina sign, but the average story as a former City News reporter is 2 minutes. So you're looking at 4 times the 30-second spot. So in aggregate, you're getting about $200 million just out of TV. We don't know where digital's going. That will be more clearly defined and monetized going forward. And that, you're looking at a huge explosion there. Twitter alone, one person shares it, okay? Well, let's say half the people share it that go to Expo, 15 million out of the anticipated 30 million. All right, they share it to 10 people, and those people share it. You're looking at over $1 billion out of that initial 15 million single tweet. That's $1 billion in social media. Those are social media impressions, right? I love this city. This is my city. I love it. I'm not going to knock it. I was born here, right? This is a great city, and we need to share it with the world. And digital media and those news stories will certainly get the job done in terms of earned media. Where else are you going to earn this media? Where else are you going to be on the world stage? If not Expo, what?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wong. Any other questions of Mr. Krystal? Okay.
I'm here to stay around.
Councillor DeGiorgio.
Much time of everybody. It's late. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, one of the issues that I've become aware of is that from the city and the city staff's perspective,
yes,
there is a very, very significant risk that we will have huge cost overruns if we enter into this kind of a project, given the time horizon that we have to look at. How would you address that issue?
Well, very simply, I would find, despite what some people say, I would find it very difficult for the son of Pierre Elliott Trudeau to turn down Expo. Right? I think that there always are solutions that you talk about, just the cost overruns. And friend Alfredo Romano was just deputing here from Council Point Newmelt. Look, there are always solutions to these things. There's greater private-public partnership work. The issue, as I see it, is an issue of political will. This is an issue of political will. And, you know, if there are political choices that have to be made, and that's fine, I'll live with that. But what you need to understand,
pick up on that.
What you need to understand is the cost that's being taken. And every time another city jumps up to the table to Expo, it brings us further behind, right? I knew Bill Marshall when he started the Toronto International Film Festival. I saw what they created. This is far more accelerated than TIFF, but these things are fundamental.
Okay, but I just want to pick up on your comment about Trudeau.
Yes.
Trudeau and the federal government have already allocated significant funds to the City of Toronto to undertake some huge projects. Mm-hmm. And this will be another project. And you're saying to me that you should go to Trudeau and he will be very receptive to such.
No, look, it's always a battle. I understand that it's always a battle. And there's people whispering in his ear that are negative. One member I replaced at City News, here at City Hall, a reporter who's now in Parliament. The point is that there are always battles, there are always issues. We understand that. It's not easy to be on the executive, and it's not easy to be mayor, and I have tremendous sympathies for that. But I think that the benefits of an Expo, Because remember, folks, not all expos are created equal, right? Expos are as different as their cities are. They're as different as their needs are, right? Not all expos are the same. I mean, Denzel Minawong said it's the Better Living Center on steroids. Yes, it is. And he was being pejorative in a friendly way. I love
Understood.
him. But the point is that, yes, it is the Better Living Center on steroids. With shareable, wearable technology in 2025, the level of immersiveness with arts and culture is going to be interesting. But where are we talking about Toronto culture? We don't hear about Toronto culture. This is a wonderful opportunity to showcase the City of Toronto, specifically its culture. Cost overruns. I think there's a lot of money to be made with Expo as well.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, there are benefits, huge benefits attached to all of the city building projects that we've already committed to, and we don't have funding for.
So let the feds kill it. Let them be the bad guy.
So let them be the bad
Let the feds kill it.
They've already communicated to us that they're the bad guy.
I mean, that's just my position on it. I've worked with people. I'm late to the table on this, but you know, I've known people that have been working on this for years.
And I believe in visions, by the way.
No, I know. I appreciate your kind questioning, and these are tough decisions. But unfortunately, the cultural reset. Okay, let me just in responding to your question. Lastly, Peter Dale Scott is a university in Berkeley. He talks about repressed and unacknowledged systems that we operate in. There is a cultural system that we operate in that other people can see that we can't, and it's not getting out of the elevator first. Even the Germans successfully have coined the Toronto School of Philosophy with Harold Innis, Marshall McLuhan, and Northrop Frye. Other people see our potential more than we ourselves do.
Thank you, Councillor DeGiorgio, and thank you, Mr. Krystal. Any other questions of Mr. Krystal? Okay, well, thank you very much. So we are now at Louis Nacarado from Unite.